सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः। देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। Bhagwan taught Arjuna the Sankhya Buddhi and Yoga Buddhi. Sankhya means the knowledge of the Supreme Self, that understanding of that Supreme Self was revealed. And Yoga Buddhi is the Karma Yoga Buddhi, the attitude and understanding that we should have while performing our, fulfilling our duties and doing all our sadhana. So when we follow the path of Karma Yoga sincerely, that will lead to Chitta Shuddhi, means we will gain Vivek and Vairagya, we will develop the Jidnyasa. Through that we will gain a knowledge of our self. Once we gain that knowledge of the self, we have to strive to gain abidance in that knowledge. Remove the attention from everything else, from all distraction. We have to abide in that knowledge. And that itself is what is called being a Sthita Prajna or Jnana Nishtha. So once we gain that Jnana Nishtha, we become free of all our bondage. We gain that enlightenment. So Arjuna, after listening to this, he asked Bhagwan, what are the characteristics of a Sthita Prajna? How does he live in this world? How does he interact with the world? How he lives in his own self? So Bhagwan, in the following verses, from verse number 55, Bhagwan reveals the characteristics of a Sthita Prajna who has already attained that, but simultaneously Bhagwan is also revealing the path for those who are practicing this Jnana Nishtha, those who have gained that knowledge through Karma Yoga and want to gain that abidance in the self, one who wants to follow the path of meditation after gaining proper knowledge of the self. To such seekers also Bhagwan advises how you can attain that Sthita Prajnata, means how you can steady your understanding. So both are revealed here. So in the 55th verse, Bhagwan defines that Sthita Prajna. A Sthita Prajna is one who is totally free of all desires, means there is no attachment, there is no proactive desires in the mind of a Sthita Prajna. Means there is no desire to gain happiness or pleasure or some status or some objects of this world, because the Sthita Prajna is satisfied, totally content in his own supreme self. There is nowhere to go, there is nothing more to attain, there is no greater joy than gaining this self. So, prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan atmani eva atmana tushtaha. That Sthita Prajna is supremely satisfied in his own self, the pure self. Not that he is satisfied with his ego, but he is supremely satisfied with his own pure self, which is not only present in this body, but which is present in all the bodies, and which is one with that supreme Brahma. So Sthita Prajna has attained the final goal. There is nowhere to go, there is nothing more to do. In the third chapter also, Bhagwan talks about this Sthita Prajna. He says that no more duties remain for this Sthita Prajna. Yastvatmaratirev syad atmatruptascha manavaha atmanneva cha santushtaha tasya karyam na vidyate. In the third chapter, 17th verse, Bhagwan again tells about this Sthita Prajna. He says, Yastvatmarati revasyat. He revels in his own self. Atmatruptascha manavaha. One who has gained complete trupti, complete contentment in his own self. Means there is no more wants in his heart. Such a person, Atmani eva santushtaha, is completely satisfied, completely full in his own self. Tasya karyam na vidyate. For such a person, there remains nothing more to be done. There remains nothing more to be achieved for himself. There remains nothing more to be attained. All that has to be attained is attained. That is the final destination, final goal, which all of us should strive. So how does this Sthita Prajna live in this world? See, even after gaining that Sthita Prajna avastha, means even after becoming a Sthita Prajna, the body continues to exist, the physical body continues to exist, and the subtle body continues to exist. The causal body is eliminated through knowledge. But the gross physical body, which is born due to prarabdha, will continue as long as the prarabdha remains. And the subtle body also will continue as long as this physical body remains. Once the prarabdha is over, when the body gets dropped, then the subtle body also disintegrates. It is not held together. The subtle body is also made up of matter. It is held together because of the sense of I which one has in that subtle body, that ahankar. So through knowledge, that ahankar gets dissolved and the whole subtle body gets disintegrated, it merges into the totality. Therefore, there is no more birth for an enlightened person. But till he drops the physical body, he continues to experience the body and continues to experience the world. That doesn't disappear, because this world is an expression of the Supreme Maya. The body is also expression of Supreme Maya. So it continues, it doesn't get negated. So it continues to express. So an enlightened person continues to live in this world. Through the body, others observe and experience the existence of an enlightened person. The enlightened person continues to interact with the world. So the question is, the enlightened person continues to, the physical body continues to experience all the physical phenomena of this world. When an enlightened person's body or a finger goes into fire, it will get burnt. If he falls down, then he will get hurt. So all the physical laws and the internal, emotional, etc. laws are applicable. So he continues to experience the joys and sorrows related to the body in this world. But how does he deal with them? How does he look at them? Because he no longer considers this body as I and mine. So how does he deal with the whole situation? That is being said now in the next verse, verse number 56. Dukkheshvanudvignamanaha sukeshu vigataspraha vitaragabhayakrodha stitadhirmuniruchyate. Bhagavan says, Dukkheshu anudvignamanaha. That this enlightened person Astita Pradnya. Also, when according to the prarabdha of his own body and as per the situation in this world, experiences the mind of that Stita Pradnya can have what you call an emotion of dukkha. Or he might face a situation which normally can give a person dukkha, sorrow. Or there might be a situation in his life which normally gives a person sukha, or that thought of sukha can arise in his heart. That thought of sukha can also come because it's just like the physical body responds or reacts to the world outside, to the stimuli outside. Similarly, the inner body, that is Sukshma Sharir, also respond or react to the stimuli outside. It's a natural phenomena. So the experience of sukha, dukkha will be there for an enlightened person's body, mind also. But what is the difference? Bhagavan says, Dukkheshu anudvigna manaha. When the situation of dukkha comes in his life, or when the emotion of dukkha is there in the mind, the Mahatma, the enlightened person, doesn't get agitated because of this dukkha, doesn't get overwhelmed because of this dukkha. Dukkheshu anudvigna manaha. His mana doesn't become udvigna, it doesn't become disturbed because of the overwhelming sorrow which is experienced by the mind or because of the situation around. Let us say there is a lot of havoc in the world outside, some war or some famine or some pandemic, people dying and suffering. So the enlightened person also experiences the sorrow and pain of all this in his mind, because his mind is not untouched by the happenings of the world around. But the difference is he doesn't get disturbed, fundamentally disturbed by the whole situation as an ignorant person gets disturbed. He, just like he accepts things at his own, as a seeker, he had accepted all the results as prasad of Bhagavan. Even at the cosmic level or the world level, he accepts everything as the outcome of the total results of the totality. So doesn't get agitated because of that. So dukkheshu anudvigna manaha. And what about sukha? The situation doesn't remain same in the world. The sorrow goes away and joy comes. So how does an enlightened person deal with the joys of this world? Generally, an ignorant person gets attached to joys of the world and runs away from the sorrows of the world, gets agitated by the sorrows of the world and gets attached to the joys of the world. An enlightened person, how does he approach sukha? He says, Sukheshu vigata spruha. In sukha, he doesn't have any spruha, any attachment. See an ignorant person, when he experiences sukha, he feels very happy about the whole thing, so he wants to repeat that experience. So he wants to hold on to all the phenomena, hold on to all the objects, all the people whom he felt had given him that joy. So attachment to all this happens automatically. If one feels that money is giving me joy, so he will be attached to money, fame, name, house, people, friends, relatives, position. Huh? But really speaking, that joy has not come from all this. The joy, the supreme joy belongs to the self only. It is not really coming from any objects of this world. It is the very nature of our own self. So the world cannot give me joy, really speaking, and world cannot give me sorrow also. So enlightened person remains undisturbed by the sorrowful and happy circumstances of this world, doesn't get attached to the joys of the world, because he is established in his own self. So he is Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha. His antakarana is free from raga, bhaya, krodha. Raga means attachment. As I said, that all those things and people and place and everything which we feel is giving us joy, we want to hold on to them. That is called attachment. We don't want to let them go. We want to hold on to them. We are ready to face all suffering also in order to hold on to them. So that is called raga. And when we feel that, that object or that person will be going away from me, or if some obstacle comes in between, or if I imagine that it will get lost, then I have fear also. So there is fear of losing things which I am holding on to, things I am attached to. So bhaya is there. And if some obstacle comes in between to take away my near and dear things, if some person creates obstacle in between, or if situation creates obstacle, or even the devatas create obstacle, then my attachment gets converted into anger towards them. So krodha. So raga, bhaya, krodha, they are all interlinked. When we have raga, that is attachment, automatically with respect to that we have fear. When I am too much attached to life and too much attached to my body, then there is fear of dying, fear of getting unwell, fear of losing my own health and all. So that attachment leads to fear, and that fear leads to anger, restlessness, dislike and impatience. All these things come as an outcome of that raga only. So raga, bhaya, krodha, they go hand in hand. But an enlightened person has got no raga, there is no attachment to anything, because it doesn't make any sense for him to hold on to anything, because everything, he has become everything. The whole world is his own self. And in that self he is experiencing supreme joy, supreme bliss. There is nothing which can be lost. The self cannot be destroyed, and self cannot undergo any change. This he knows. So there is no raga for anything. Therefore there is no bhaya, there is no fear, and there is no anger. Is free of all this. Just imagine the antakarana of an enlightened person, free of raga, bhaya, krodha. See, the antakarana is still there. An enlightened person also has an antakarana. But he doesn't respond to the world as an ignorant person responds. The whole internal mechanism has undergone total transformation. Just like in our mobile, if you change the software, or if you put a new app then that app will respond to the situation according to its internal structure. But if you just delete that app, then it will no longer respond to the world in the same way. Similarly, we have this ignorant person have ignorance, which has given rise to funny concept about myself, about the world around me, about my goal, about my path, about the I have wrongly evaluated the objects of this world, the names and fames of this world. So that wrong evaluation gives rise to attachment to all those things, and consequently it gives rise to fear and anger. So Mahatma is free of all this. You cannot approach Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi and tempt him with the pleasures of this world, with the names and positions of this world. You cannot tempt him by saying that we will make you the president of this country or something, or we will give you this much wealth, and all these things doesn't tempt an enlightened person. He will just listen to all this and he will laugh at the whole thing. It's like you are approaching an ocean and tempting the ocean with a bucket full of water, telling the ocean that I will give you this bucket full of water if you work for me, if you become my sevak, if you do this work, I will give you 2 buckets of water. The ocean will just laugh. Ocean will say that bucket which you are holding, that also belongs to me, and I have infinite waters in me. Similarly, an enlightened person is filled completely with anand, with peace, and is indestructible, eternal. So you can't change his vision through threatening. Out of fear he will not change, out of greed he will not change, out of pride he will not change, out of anger he will not change. All these things doesn't affect an enlightened person. So vitaragavaya krodha stitadhihi. Why it is so? Because that enlightened person's dhi has become stita. His understanding that aham brahmasmi, that I am that Brahma, has become absolutely steady. There is no doubt. It is not a theory. It is not just information collected. It is his direct realization. If it is information, we can give some other additional information. If it is the data, we can give some more data. If it is a philosophy, we can come up with some contradictory philosophy. It is not his philosophy, it is not his concept. Aham Brahmasmi is his direct realization, and he is established in that, unwavering. So he says Stitadhihi. Muniruchyate, he is called Stitadhi, or he is called Muni also. Mananashilvan, one who has gained that abidance through his contemplation, who has gained that firm abidance in his own self. So these are the lakshanas of a Stita Prajna. But what if I want to become a Stita Prajna? Then you have to follow the sadhana. You have to follow the path properly, all the steps. First you have to follow the path of Karma Yoga sincerely. That Karma Yoga will lead to Vivek and Vairagya and that knowledge. Once you gain that understanding of yourself, then you strive to gain abidance in that self. So what will help me to gain that abidance in my own self, that is now being discussed in the following shlokas. So shloka number 57, Bhagavan says, Yas sarvatranabhisneha tat tat prapya shubha shubham nabhinandati nadveshti tasya pradnya pratisthita. Bhagavan says, Yaha, he whoever that person may be, a seeker, sarvatran anabhisneha, remains unattached towards everything. So this sincere contemplative seeker, sarvatra deha jivitadishu api, towards his own body and towards his own livelihood, towards all people and place and everything, remains unattached. Anabhisneha. Tat tat prapya shubha shubham. With whatever he gains in this world, shubha or ashubha, good or not good. Whatever comes in our life as a result of our karma, good or bad, he remains unattached. Na abhinandati, na dveshti, neither gets excited about the shubha, about something positive, pleasant, nor hates that which is ashubham. So na abhinandati, na dveshti. So doesn't respond to the worldly situation with attachment, doesn't respond with excitement, doesn't get too excited or too depressed, tries to maintain the balance of his mind under the circumstance, then what happens? Such a person is able to meditate and gain abidance in his own self. It's very interesting. See, the ultimate idea for a seeker who is following the path of meditation is to not get disturbed by the outer surrounding. See, even if a person wants to sleep, let us say, if your house or the room where you're sleeping is very quiet, cozy, free from all disturbing objects and machars and all, and you are also tired, sleepy, then you can sleep without much effort, peacefully. But if the surrounding is very disturbing, if there is a lot of noise, or a lot of mosquitoes are disturbing you, or people are troubling, and it is very hot or very cold, then it will become very difficult for you to sleep. Because in order to sleep, you have to withdraw your attention from the world outside. That can happen if you are not too much engaged in the world outside. Then it will become easier for you to withdraw. Similarly, if one wants to meditate, then one has to become free of the disturbances of this world. If I fail to get, if I get disturbed by the world, then I will not be able to meditate. Then I should forget about meditation and try to bring the conducive situation. But if one is sincere in meditation, then one has to become free of the disturbance of the world happening in our own mind. Means the mind should become free of getting disturbed by the world. Then one can gain that abidance. Therefore, in the 6th chapter, Bhagavan talks about the path of meditation in detail. It says that you go in a solitary place, free of all disturbances, in a holy place, clean place, free of all disturbances, and then you sit and meditate on your Supreme Self. Same thing Bhagavan says, that one who is undisturbed by the world outside, one who doesn't get attached to people and places of this world, or to whatever one gains, Shubha or Ashubha, one has the ability to withdraw his attention from the happenings of the world. See, when we talk about the world, it can be categorized or classified into 2-3 groups. One is the world is made up of objects. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Okay. Then the world is made up of events. Therefore, people keep talking about events. Even when you switch on your TV, the news and all, they keep reporting events. आज ऐसा हुआ, वैसा हुआ, वहाँ पर ऐसा हुआ, उसने ये किया, उसने वो किया. So different events, or about people they will keep talking. So the world is made up of objects, world is made up of events, and world is made up of people and beings. So one should remain undisturbed by all if one wants to meditate. If you want to go and fight for election, you don't have to worry about getting not disturbed. But if you want to meditate and gain that abidance in your own self, then during that time you should learn not to be disturbed by the external world. So Bhagavan says, he who is not attached to the Shubha as well as Ashubha, yaha sarvatra anabhisneha tattat prapya shubha-shubham. Tattat prapya means it comes, unasked it comes. Without you asking, the situation comes in your life. That is how it is. The world keeps on moving, it keeps on presenting. Just like when you are sitting and watching a movie, let us say all of you together as a family are watching a movie, or nowadays recently the whole family was watching Ramayana. So you are also there seated with all your rest of your family watching the, let us say, Ramayana. And then all the devtas are praying for Bhagwan to take avatar. And all of you are watching very keenly. But you are very sleepy. And you sleep. Others are watching. The program is going on. Even when you are sleeping, the serial will go on. So after some time when you wake up, you suddenly find that a Ram avatar has taken place. So you ask your family members, क्या हो गया? इतनी जल्दी भगवान का अवतार हो गया? He said, yes, when you were snoring, that time Bhagwan was taking his avatar. So even when we are asleep, the world, just like that, the world keeps on moving. World doesn't stop. The world is like a clock. It will keep moving. Whether you are active or inactive or passive or whatever, whether you are alive or dead, the world will keep on moving. So Bhagavan says that when you live in this world, Shubha will come, Ashubha will come, whether you do something or don't do something. So a seeker of meditation should not get disturbed by what happens around. Whatever the world presents, don't get disturbed. Focus your attention on meditation. As I said, this is the path for a person who has become fit for meditation. We are not talking about karma yogi. We are not talking about upasak. We are talking about the person who has become now fit for meditation and is perceiving the path of meditation. So Bhagavan says, one who is undisturbed by the Shubha and Ashubha of this world, doesn't get excited by Shubha and doesn't hate Ashubha, such a person, his understanding of the self becomes steady. Tasya prajna pratisthita. His prajna. Prajna means his understanding. What understanding? That aham brahmasmi, that I am that Brahma, becomes more and more steady. His understanding that I am Brahma becomes steady. Who is Brahma? I am Brahma. Not the ego. The Kshetrajna is Brahma. That understanding becomes steady. So, one thing is that we should not get disturbed by the happenings of the world, by whatever comes and goes. The mind should be kept steady. Another thing which helps us to gain abidance in our self, which helps us in our meditation, is total control over our senses. That is what is said now in the next verse. For a seeker who is practicing the path of meditation, Bhagavan gives this advice. He says, Yada samharate chayam kurmonganiva sarvashah indriyanindriyarthebhyah tasya prajna pratisthita. Bhagavan says, Yada, when samharate cha ayam kurmaha angan iva sarvashah, when this person, means this seeker who is practicing this meditation, yada samharate samyak upasamharate cha ayam jnananishthayam pravruttah yati, one who is doing the sadhana of gaining jnananistha, such a seeker who is putting forth effort, a yati. When a yati yada samharate cha ayam kurmonganiva sarvashah indriyani indriyarthebhyah, when he withdraws his senses from their respective objects. See, when we want to meditate, when we want to gain abidance in ourselves, we have to focus our attention on our inner self, Pratyek Atma. We have to focus our attention on our inner self. In order to focus our attention there, we have to withdraw our attention from everything else. We have to withdraw our attention from everything else. For example, let us say there is a tree, a mango tree, a huge mango tree, and one nice ripe mango I can see on the tree. So if I want to show that mango to somebody else, I can point it out to that person. I will say, look at that long branch on the right. A lot of leaves are there. If you focus your attention in between those leaves, you will see that ripe mango there. So that person shifts the attention to where I am pointing and keeps his whole focus steady. He withdraws his attention from all those things which are not a mango, and then suddenly he comes to see the mango. So in order to see the mango, he has to shift his attention from other trees around. First focus on the mango tree, not on the other trees around. Then shift his attention from the branches, from the leaves, to that mango. Similarly, when we are meditating, we have to pay attention to our inner self, not to the outer world. So, our senses are engaged in observing and seeing the outer world. So we have to withdraw the attention of our senses from the world inside. Means actually these senses are extension of our antakarana only. So the senses are withdrawn back into the antakarana. Seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, all these things happen through our senses. Constantly we are experiencing the world of objects. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. So we have to withdraw this attention of the senses from the world and keep the senses into the antakarana. Keep the senses within. How it can be done? Bhagavan gives an example. He says just take a tortoise. The tortoise has got all the limbs outside. It has got its own 4 legs and a nice long neck and his head and a little tail behind. And it moves with his own rhythm in this world with a huge shell, very hard and very strong. Then suddenly the tortoise senses some danger, that some predator is there around. So the tortoise withdraws the attention, withdraws the limbs. It takes its head inside, it takes all his feet inside, it takes all his tail inside, and just keeps them secure within its shell. The shell of a tortoise is so hard that even if a alligator tries to eat it, it will not be able to bite through it. It's so hard. So it will just drop it. So it is able to easily withdraw the limbs when there is danger, and then when things are fine, it again projects them out. Similarly, we have the ability to withdraw our senses and to project them also. This we do constantly. When we go to sleep, we do it, but otherwise also during the day, we withdraw few of our senses. Suppose I want to focus my attention on seeing. Let us say you are seeing the serial on the television. Your whole eyes are fixed on that screen and you are listening to the dialogues and your emotions are also all tuned to that. And you are wondering now what will happen. With all excitement you are watching that. At that time, simultaneously, lot of other things are happening in that room. The children are playing, the cat and dogs are moving around. The kitchen, the what you call that, you can hear some sound and the whistle of that pressure cooker and all. All these things are happening, but you are so focused on that you are totally unaware of everything. What happens? Deaf हो गया क्या? नहीं, you have withdrawn the ears from all other objects and you are focused on that thing in front of you only. That ability we have. Bhagavan says, use this ability when you are meditating. Withdraw your senses from everything. Withdraw them into your antakarana. You don't have to destroy them. You don't have to fight with them. but उसको withdraw करो, because your 100% attention is required if you want to meditate on the self. In the 6th chapter also Bhagavan tells Arjuna कि यतो यतो निश्चरति मनश्चंचलम अस्थिरम ततस्ततो नियम्येतद आत्मनि एव वशम नयेत. That wherever the attention of the mind goes here and there, you withdraw from that place and focus on your own self. Atma samstam manak kritva na kinchidapi chintayet. Taking the whole attention on the Atma, thereafter don't think of anything else. So complete total control over our senses is a must if we want to follow the path of meditation. If you want to follow the path of agitation, then you can do whatever you want. But to follow the path of meditation, one needs to have total 100% control over the senses, just as a tortoise has control over his limbs. Tortoise, no doubt, does it out of fear, but we should do it for the sake of meditation. So, yada samharate chayam kurmaha angan iva sarvashaha. Just as the tortoise withdraws the limbs from all direction, all the limbs. Similarly, indriyani. Similarly, one should withdraw all the indriyas. Indriyarthebhyaha, from their respective objects. So the ears are hearing the world outside. So stop hearing the world outside and focus your attention on the world within. The eyes are seeing the world outside, so close your eyes and focus your attention within. The nose is busy smelling the world outside, so shift your attention from the world to the world within. So there is the self, the inner self. See, it's called Pratyagatma. The Kshetrajna is also called Pratyagatma. Pratyagatma means the inner self. Inner self means the self which is experienced within this body. We experience the self within the body, and through that we experience the world. So we experience the world outside this body. If we shift our attention from the world outside, we experience the world within. We experience the sukshma, our sharir. But within that sukshma sharir, deeper than that sukshma sharir is that Atma. Deeper than the sukshma sharir is the Atma, which remains undisturbed even when the sukshma sharir is not functioning. See, when we go to sleep, when we are in deep sleep, what happens? Our senses are withdrawn, our antakarana becomes dormant. Antakarana is not functioning, but I exist. That I, who exists in deep sleep state, which is also called Sushupta Atma, which is called Kshetrajna, which is called the innermost Atma, one has to focus one's attention on that Atma while awake during meditation, because that Atma is Brahma. So indriyani indriyarthebhyaha, when one is able to do this, tasya prajna pratisthita, such a person's prajna, such a person understanding and wisdom that I am Brahma becomes steady, becomes absolutely still and steady. In the 12th chapter also, Bhagavan tells, see, this second chapter is a concise what you call as those the summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Briefly, Bhagwan tells what he will be telling in the whole Bhagavad Gita. Then he elaborately discusses it, describes it, and then again he summarizes in the 18th chapter. So in the 12th chapter also Bhagwan talks about this. He says that a devotee is one who focuses his mind and intellect on himself, on the self within, on the Atma, on Bhagwan, Paramatma who is residing in our heart. So Mayyeva mana adhasva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivashishyasi mayyeva atha urdhvam na samshayah. You place your mind in me, you place your intellect in me, thereafter you will gain abidance in me. There is no doubt about it. So same thing Bhagwan says, that you withdraw your attention of your senses from the world and focus your attention within on yourself, and your prajna, the understanding that aham brahmasmi, will become steady. Tasya prajna pratisthita. So two things Bhagwan revealed here in this verse and the previous verse. For a seeker who is following the path of meditation, that don't get disturbed by the happenings of the world, that will help you to gain abidance in yourself and have a total control over your senses, withdraw your senses from the world outside. That will also help you to gain abidance in the self, in the Supreme Self. So this is a very interesting and beautiful advice. So you can try it out, practice it, because only by practicing we will become more and more perfect and finally gain that abidance in our own self. More about this we will see in our class tomorrow. Till then, stay safe, stay home, stay healthy, peaceful, happy. Do your work also and do your sadhana and contemplate on what you have heard. Read your notes and share this video with your friends, relatives. Tell them about these classes. That will be your seva towards Bhagwan. So more about this we will see tomorrow. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram, 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 Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Boliye Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.